Chapter 6-3 is converting rates and measurements. And because this is a more difficult, challenging lesson, rather than giving you notes, you'll notice when you pull up your homework in Kami, this is your actual homework assignment. We're going to work it together. While I'm working it on the board, you work it on your homework, and then you'll do one problem on your own, and then you'll submit it, and you guys will turn it in class. So hopefully this makes this a little bit easier to digest. These take a lot of space. So we're going to actually do the work on the back, and then we're going to put the answer on the front. So if you guys would copy number 1 at the top of your page on the back, we will get going on it. So number 1 is converting 12 meters per minute. Oops, let me write minute because M&M, that doesn't make much sense unless you're talking about candy or the wrapper. 12 meters per minute, and we want it to equal so many centimeters per second. So we're really doing a double conversion because we need to convert meters to centimeters and minutes to seconds. Okay, so that's what makes these a little bit more challenging. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to set up the first bit of information given to me as a ratio. So I'm going to write 12 meters over 1 minute. Okay, that's my first ratio. Now my unknown, I'm going to put at the far end of the paper because we're going to have to go, like, it's going to go all the way across the paper to eventually get to the answer. So clear on this side of the paper, I'm going to write my answer, which is some centimeter, I don't know yet, over 1 second. Okay, and when it says a slash like that, I don't know if you guys noticed when I was like doing the homework and I said something was, I think it was like 0.1, and I said it should be per ounce, and so I put a slash. Okay, that's what the slash means. It means per. So, and when there's nothing in front of it, it means 1. So when you're looking at what the question here is asking right here, when it says so many blank centimeters in that slash, that means per, means a ratio. And then since there's nothing in front of the second, it means 1 second or per 1 second. Okay. All right. So we've got to get from the beginning 12 meters in 1 minute converted to how many centimeters in 1 second. The way you do that, and it doesn't matter which one you pick, we've got to convert them both eventually. So first, let's concentrate on converting minutes to seconds. Okay, so the way we're going to do that, and some of this should be familiar because we've done a little bit with conversions, but I want to convert minutes to seconds. So on this second fraction, I'm going to put minutes in the top and seconds in the bottom. Now notice this is a little bit different than earlier in the week when we were doing conversions, and I said if it's pounds and ounces, on the other side you did pounds and ounces, just flip-flopped. Here we're not doing meters and minutes flip-flopped because that's not the conversion we're trying to do. We're not trying to convert meters to minutes. In Monday's homework, we were trying to convert pounds and ounces. So that's why we kept pounds and ounces, we flip-flop pounds and ounces, and we converted that way. Here, we're not converting meters to minutes. So the meters don't have anything to do yet with our second fraction. Okay, does that make sense? So we're trying to get from minutes to seconds. So we're going to set up a minutes to seconds, but notice my minutes are still crisscrossed. The reason they're crisscrossed is because let's fill in what we know. There's 1 minute. How many seconds are there in 1 minute? 60. All right, we fill in what we know. Notice what happens. If you're thinking about just a math cross canceling, the 1 and the 1 cancel, the minute and the minute cancel. Okay, that's really important that you want canceling measurements here. And the reason is because now when we multiply across the top, there's nothing but here, right? It's a 1 because it all canceled away. So we're left with 12 meters, which is great. That's what we wanted. If we multiply across the bottom, what are we left with? 60 seconds. Okay, so we've at least gotten, if you look at our final answer, we wanted centimeters over seconds. We're at least into seconds, right? So we've got half of our problem converted. Yes.
So we don't reduce the 12.
I wouldn't yet. Okay, you can, and eventually you are going to have to reduce, but it kind of muddies the water of all of the other reductions if you do it throughout the problem. If you can and you keep it straight, you're fine because in the end you'll still get the same answer. Okay. All right. Now that we've got seconds converted, now we need to focus on converting our meters to what? Centimeters. So now in our second step, we're going to give ourselves a fraction. We're going to put meters on bottom because the meters is on top currently, and we want to cross cancel, and we want to put centimeters on top. Now, again, 1 meter equals how many centimeters? Anybody know? 100. If you don't know, you'll have to look it up. I'm going to try to find a good conversion chart that has everything on it. I couldn't the other day, but I was kind of quick looking. So I'm going to look for a really good conversion chart. And when I find one, I'm going to copy it and put it on Canvas. Yes. Perfect. Okay. I'll ask him. Good. All right. But until then, if you Google how many meters or how many centimeters is in a meter, it's going to tell you 100. Okay. So now again, let's look at what happens. Our meter, right? And our meter cancel. That's what we wanted. We needed those meters to cross cancel. Nothing else cancels. Now you can, of course, if you want to, you can cross cancel some of your numbers at this point, because 160 cross reducing, you could reduce those, but I don't want to muddy the water. So I'm not going to do that just yet. All right. I'm just worrying about canceling out my measurements at this point. So when we multiply straight across, okay, the meters is gone. All that's left is the 12. So we're going to take 12 times 100, but we have to keep the centimeter because it did not cancel. So 12 times 100 is 1200 centimeters, right? The centimeters did not cancel out. And multiplying across the bottom, we have 60 seconds times 1. That meters canceled out. So all I have is 60 seconds. Well, now I'm golden because I've got centimeters and seconds, right? I'm really right almost where I want to be. I've got my measurements all right. Now all I have to do is I've got to get my denominator to be 1 second. Well, what would I divide 60 seconds by to get 1 second? 60, right? Oops, let me do that in red just because I like to do my work in red. So if I divide the bottom by 60, I have to divide the top by 60. Okay. I'm not canceling out any of my measurements right now because I've already, or not any of my labels right now. So 60 divided by 60 is 1, and I get 1 second on the bottom, which is great. That's what I wanted. When I divide 1200 by 60, okay, 1200 by 60, you get 20. So on the front side, and I don't know why they put a black box here because it makes it really hard to write the answer in there. Your answer is 20 centimeters per second. Okay. So the answer of the conversion of 12 meters in a minute is 20 centimeters per second. Okay. So when both of your measurements don't match, you just have to take one at a time and convert one measurement at a time. All right. So let's look at, scroll down here. Let's look at number 3. And number 3 is 40 yards per second, or I'm sorry, 44. 44 yards per second equals blank miles per hour. So we take the first ratio and we're going to set it up as a fraction. 44 yards over 1 second. And then way to the other side, we're going to take what we eventually want to get to, which is miles over hours. And again, it doesn't matter which one you choose to do first. Pick one, whether it's yards or seconds, pick it and choose that to be the one you convert first. So if I want to get rid of my seconds first, I look over at my end and I know that I eventually want to get to hours. Now you can do this in 1 step or 2, okay? If you can tally up, and it's kind of a 2-step tally, if you can tally up how many seconds is in an hour, you can go right to seconds and hours, okay? If you can't, you might have to go And I'm going to do seconds to hours because I think you guys can handle that double conversion. But if you have to, you might have to go seconds to minutes, and then you might have to do it again and do minutes and seconds. So if you have to do it in 2 steps, do it in 2 steps, but I think we can handle doing this in 1 step. So I'm going to go ahead and go straight to seconds to hours, okay? And I know that hours is my end goal, so that's why I'm going to do it. All right, in 1 hour, how many seconds are there? 3,600. If you got that by saying there's 60 seconds in a minute and then 60 minutes in an hour, 60 times 60 is 3,600. 60 times 60 is 3,600. Now, what cancels out? The second and the second cancels out. That's it, right? My hour and my yard are still hanging. So I'm going to multiply. First, you're going to multiply 44 times 3,600. And we get a really big number, but that's okay. 158,400. How am I going to label this? What's my only label that survived across the top? Yards. And then on across the bottom, multiply 1 and 1, I get 1. And what's my only measurement that survived? Hour. All right, so I'm there. I've got hours on the bottom, which means I'm halfway to my answer because I've got hours on the bottom. But I need yards gone, and I need those to become miles. So I'm going to draw my line here, and I'm going to put yards on the bottom and miles on top. Which one's bigger, a yard or a mile? Okay, so I'm going to put my 1 here with my mile. And then does anybody know how many yards are in a mile? Bonus question. If you don't know, let's find out. So we're going to go to Google and we're going to say, how many yards are in a mile? And we get 1,760. You were close. 1,760 yards in a mile. Hopefully I have a conversion chart for you soon. I will definitely have one by test day, I promise, because you guys aren't going to be Googling on test day. All right. Now, what cancels out? Yard and yard, right? Cancels out. Nothing else cancels out. So I'm ready to multiply across the top. Well, my big number times 1 just stays 158,400. And that is what's my only, let me erase this because it's kind of in the way. What's my only measurement that survived? Miles. Yeah, I'm going to stick this I in here because I'm kind of getting lazy here. Miles, okay, over 1 times 760, that's the number. And then what's my only measurement that survived? Hours. Now, I'm good because, I'm almost there because my answer needed to be miles over hours. I've got miles over hours. I'm great. I just need this to be a 1, right? So to get the hours to be a 1, you always divide by itself. So that means I'm going to divide this side by 1760 to make this and this cancel to a 1. I'm going to show you the long way around this too, just in case this confuses you. 1760. So I'm going to divide my big number divided by 1760, and I get 90. Okay. So 90 miles in 1 hour is the same as 44 yards in 1 second. Now, I want to show you, I kind of did a shortcut. I want to show you the long work around behind it in case the shortcut doesn't make sense to you, because I saw a few faces. If I'm going from 58,400, okay, if I'm going from this and I want it to equal something with a 1 on bottom, do I know what goes on top yet? That's my unknown, right? Because before I started all this, I didn't know what this number was, right? That was my unknown. If I put an X here, this looks like yesterday's work. We know how to solve this, right? We butterfly it. Yeah, so we would have 1760x equals. What do I do? Divide by 1760, divide by 1760. That's gone. Look what I did here. I divided this big number here by 1760. That makes sense? I did the same thing in both ways. I divided my big number by my little number. I did it in both I did it both ways. I did it in the faster way and this longer process way, but in both times I get 90 as my answer. All right, here's what I want you to do. Okay, I don't care which one you try. 3, 5, or I'm sorry, 5, 7, or 9. Try one. That's all I need you to do. Okay, 5, 7, or 9, pick one and try it. If you get it right, you can either get a mad dollar or a piece of candy tomorrow. If you want to go hog wild and you want to try 7 and 9, you can get however many pieces of candy for however many right answers. Okay, all right. There you go. For those of you at home, I did 1 and 3 with you. I would like for you to try either 5, 7, or 9, or 5, 7, and 9. And when you get back, if you try extra ones, then I owe you a mad dollar or a piece of candy when I see you again. Email me if you have any questions.